Look, let me tell you right now, I am sold on Trump. In fact, I'll say this. I think he's got a good shot at going down in history as one of our best presidents ever.
That is a real turnaround because you didn't want to vote for him.
I tell you the reason. I want to tell you, I'm a believer. What I'm seeing happening is absolutely nothing short of a great thing. And there's a beat. People are walking with more bounce in there. It's all around.
I gave you quite a bit of grief.
Huh?
I gave you grief.
You give me grief?
I gave you grief when it was a binary choice. You're still complaining about Trump and it was a binary choice. It's like, are you kidding me?
Knowledge implies one thing. When you made a mistake, admit it.
Okay.
I think this guy is turning out to be a president.
Right.
One of the pilots on that miraculous trip to Iran that we wiped out, whatever the hell we wiped out.
Right.
He said, you're the only guy that in the presidency that would have done what you did. One of the pilots said that.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's probably right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. That's former Home Depot CEO and founder Ken Langone, a very, very rich man who didn't support President Trump for his reelection bid just a few months ago, but taking it like a man, going on live television in front of an audience of millions of people, admitting he was wrong. That's what people with brains do. That's what people with consciences do. That's what real people do. So great on Ken Langone for understanding that Donald Trump is on the way to making America great again, and he's doing that just swellingly so far. We're going to be joined by Mark Mitchell in just a few moments, head pollster for Rasmussen. He's got some new numbers for us that don't look so good as for the approval rating and things like that, but it's not having anything to do with the economy. The numbers are down and they're falling. We're going to take up just what's going on. Now, some new inflation numbers out today, which if you listen to the mainstream media, they're going to tell you President Trump's tariffs are driving inflation through the roof. Inflation for the month of June came in at 2.7%, 0.3% higher than it was the previous month. But looking back where we were in January, we were at 3%. We're still down 0.3% from where we were when President Trump took office. So Jerome Powell has said that everything's going great. The economy's great, which is why he won't cut rates. He said he wants to see what's happening with inflation. Well, we've got a little uptick, a 0.3% uptick in inflation. So maybe it's now time for Jerome Powell to put his money where his mouth is and cut the rates for America, the interest rates, that is. America still sits currently at 4.5%. Donald Trump has called on him to raise it, to rather lower it a percent, possibly even more. When you look just to the north up in Canada, not that we can compare Canada to us as for GDP, but Canada sits at 2.75%. It's time for America to level the playing field. When you look just across the pond, as they like to say it, over in Germany, sitting around 2% as most European countries. Switzerland is at zero. Now, I'm not advocating that we should be anywhere near zero, but we need to level the playing field with other countries to stay competitive with where they're at least to keep our economy going. Folks, you all know the old saying, don't throw stones when you live in glass houses. Well, that's what the Democrats like to do, and they've done it for the last 10 years against Donald Trump. Adam Schiff becoming the latest to be exposed. Now, he's been exposed many times before, but today he was really exposed. Apparently, there's an indictment coming, or an investigation rather coming, with Adam Schiff possibly committing some type of mortgage fraud. Now, Schiff, of course, is the senator from California, but he may have told the banks that his home where he lives when he's in D.C. in Maryland is his primary home. Adam Schiff refinanced his home in 2009, again in 2010, again in 2011, and again in 2013. Why would you be doing that? Why would you be refinancing your house that much? And also, if you're the senator from California, how are you selling that you're from Maryland? How are you claiming that as your primary residence? Now, this is the same thing Tish James did, was caught for it. Same thing that now retiring Senator Tom Tillis has been accused of. And these are the same people now who have accused Donald Trump of wrongdoing throughout the last few years, but they're really the ones who have been committing the crimes. It makes zero sense to me that Democrats are this stupid, this dumb. I guess it should make more sense to me. But for accusing Donald Trump of doing the things that they're merely doing themselves, literally exposing themselves for the frauds and the corrupt con artists that they are. So I promised you, we're going to go through some of Trump's latest poll numbers. On the other side of this break, we're going to be joined by my good friend, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports, to get his take on why Donald Trump's poll numbers are falling. What's behind it all? Is it fake? Is it real? Can he rebound? Will this have an effect on the 2026 midterms? Will it affect 2028? What do the people want to see more of? What do they want to see less of? We're going to get all of that from Mark Mitchell, one of the leading pollsters in this country right now, one of the most accurate pollsters in this country. We're going to get his take on it just on the other side of this quick break, folks. Please stay with us. We appreciate you spending part of your Tuesday with us here on the Great America Show. We're coming right back after this quick message. Please stay with us.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillow is only $14.98. Queens, $18.98. King size, only $1 more. Body pillows, $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
And now, folks, as promised, the great Mark Mitchell. Mark, you called me this morning. You said you've got some new numbers for me. You said they're not good. We're in a lot of trouble. What's going on?
People need to put their big boy panties on. This is game time for Trump. This could be his Afghanistan if things don't turn around. Listen, his net approval was lower this cycle. It was down to -5, but it's at -4 right now. What happened the last time it was this low? The market imploded 15%. Trump just signed the One Big Beautiful Bill less than 2 weeks ago. It's his signature legislation. He should be soaring right now. It's also the summer. It should be just like drifting, but it's literally 47% underwater, 4 points right now. And it's been dropping. It's down from +8 just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And people are like, oh, what can be causing it? Well, the only thing I think is this complete and utter rug pull about Epstein. And I know a lot of people don't like talking about this topic anymore, but with these new numbers I have, this isn't going away. I mean, we can get into them, but the big question here is which is closer to your opinion? The Epstein case is now closed, like the Trump administration said, or there are dozens of powerful and wealthy offenders who need to face justice. Epstein case now closed is only 16%. It's only 14% of Democrats, 20% of Republicans, 14% of independents. And then the dozens of powerful and wealthy pedos at 68%. Wow. So America doesn't give a crap about this list. America wants their elitist, better scumbags prosecuted.
Yeah, and the messaging on it has been just, atrocious, right? You mentioned everyone's tired of talking about it because it's beating a dead horse at this point, right? We're not getting anything else is what they tell us. That's it. It's case closed. I mean, it's business as usual for the government, right? We've been told this with just about everything. The 9/11 documents, the JFK documents, the RFK documents, the MLK document. We've just been fed a bunch of bullshit, okay? So we look at this, but the messaging on this has been off. This could have all been prevented if Pam Bondi just came out and shut her stupid mouth. She came out and she said, we have a Rolls Royce for you coming in 2 weeks. 2 weeks came and she had a Hyundai Elantra sitting in the driveway. Yeah. That's what the problem is here. What people, I think, are missing. It's been messaging, not necessarily the documents. If there are documents, if there aren't documents, I don't know. But the messaging on it, Mark, I think is the crux to the whole entire thing.
The way it was done, 100%, 100%. 94% of American voters think that it's important that public officials are held to the same standard as other citizens. 94%. You don't see numbers above 90, like hardly ever. So that's polling 100%. Literally nobody wants two-tier justice. And people voted Trump in because they're sick of the government and the way that it does stuff like this. And so, in my opinion, you could say, well, maybe Epstein's the most important thing. Maybe it's not. But it is certainly a canary in the coal mine and looks like potentially a Waterloo moment because Trump is hemorrhaging political capital right now. And so here's the thing that makes me so mad. Like this presto changeo, nothing to see here. Trust me, bro. People voted Trump in because Biden and the Democrats destroyed trust in the federal government by doing things like this. So it's like, well, if this is how we're handling Epstein, how are we going to handle the fact that we raided Mar-a-Lago with deadly force? Right. How are we going to handle the fact that the FBI collaborated to help Hillary Clinton try to get elected with the email scandal? How are we going to look at all that stuff? And the answer is probably not. Looks like, Pfizer's probably going to get off scot-free. Like literally every piece of accountability Trump voters thought they were getting, and a whole bunch of independents. It looks like it's not going to happen.
You spend an unhealthy amount of time on Twitter. I'm just behind you a little bit with a little bit less of an unhealthy amount of time. And what I get from Twitter, Mark, is people coming after us saying, well, you guys are anti-MAGA, you hate Trump. That's total BS. I love the man. Personally, I love the man. I love his policies. What's the chances, Mark, that all of us, right, who support this man, who support everything he's done for the last 10 years, all of a sudden we now turn on him, right? We didn't turn on him when the Access Hollywood tape came out. We didn't turn on him when he didn't hold Hillary Clinton accountable in 2016. We didn't turn on him various points along the way. But now all of a sudden we're anti-MAGA, we're anti-America first, because we're holding him to the standard of which he told us. It doesn't mean we're anti-MAGA. It doesn't mean we're anti-America first. I'm extremely pro on both. I just don't want him to hurt himself over something totally unnecessary. And that's what a lot of these people don't understand. We're not saying this out of hatred for Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with that. We're doing it to try to get him to fix it before it's too late.
That's right. 100%. And this is very easily fixable. People might not know this because there's been so much gaslighting and conflation of issues here. I don't think America actually wants to see the videos of child sexual material. No. I don't think they want to see the actual list. They probably wouldn't even trust the list. When they're asking for the list, FBI, it means it's because they don't trust you to do the investigation. We have an $11 billion a year FBI who could very well go out and get new evidence on this. They could have victims give depositions. They could look at plane flight logs. They could do all kinds of stuff. Are they? It sounds like they just don't want to. Like they just literally don't want to. And listen, as far as MAGA goes, I don't think I'm MAGA. And so I'm absolutely unencumbered. I will call a spade, and this is horrifying. And here's why I think, okay? I think Trump's numbers will probably recover. I really do. They might not be as high as they were. I think they're going to come back up. I don't think he's going to get into the 30s. But Democrats are +2 in the generic ballot right now, and it looks like the House is a foregone conclusion, probably the Senate too. And so what that means is that Trump's ability to fix these problems, even if he wanted to, I don't know, it's questionable at this point, his ability to fix these problems is limited. That leaves the people in a very tricky situation because this was their next best hope of redressing their grievances. If Trump is no longer the next best hope, the next best hope might be even more scary. That's the problem.
Wait, are you suggesting there's a chance they lose the Senate?
I thought that Republicans were going to pick up more Senate seats than they did based on my polling. And we saw a lot of questionable results come out of those races. Here's another thing. Are we going to get to the bottom of election integrity now, even though Republicans across the country are still shutting down investigations and basically blocking people left and right? It's got to be Smash Mouth, and this was not Smash Mouth. This looks like, this looks like the nod and wink kitten glove treatment that the wealthy and powerful get all over the country from top prosecutors.
In President Trump's message on Truth Social over the weekend, he said, let's move on for it. We've got to look at election integrity. We've got to look at the people who tried to overthrow a government in 2016. I think you'd get a lot more people who would get off this issue once and for all if we saw some sort of results from what we, don't have. You hear teasing after teasing of this, teasing after teasing of that. But at the end of the day, Not one person has been arrested for the election of 2020. Not one person has been arrested for what happened in 2016 when they tried to subvert a president, a leading candidate, when they illegally wiretapped him, or back in just a few years ago when they raided Mar-a-Lago with guns blazing, ready to maybe shoot somebody. So if people were held accountable for some of these things that have happened in the past, I think you'd probably get a little bit easier of an audience, because they say, you know what, maybe you're right, because the FBI is doing this, the DOJ is doing this. But Mark, as you and I heard in DC just a few weeks ago, we'll send another letter. It's just another investigation. This and that. And people are so immune to it. The voter has gotten so smart, and it makes me so happy to see this, that the audience watching this show are so much smarter than they were 4 years ago, are so much smarter than they were 10 years ago, because they're not buying the bullshit that have been fed to us, Mark, my entire life, probably most of your entire adult life.
Yeah, if you steal the American dream and make it impossible for people to develop families, live in financial comfort, people are going to get super good at spotting bullshit. And they are now. Like, that's literally what's happening. And this is just BS. It just blows my mind that they could fix this in a second. Until they prove otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and assume that basically school board mama bears have been investigated more than the Johns on Epstein Island. And here's the thing. You know what transparency is? It's not just going on Fox News. It's having substance. Yeah. It doesn't matter how you do it. It matters what you say. They can absolutely come out and say, like, hey, yeah, if it's case closed, well, here's what we found. Like, put some stuff out. We don't necessarily need to see a list, but we all know that these investigations weren't done. Do you think they took people off the list like Jamie Dimon and rolled them up and had him interview with his lawyer there? Like, no, they didn't do that. That would happen to every other American. And so, again, there's this two-tier standard of justice, and it's absolutely disgusting. People aren't buying the BS, though. 47% to 31%, they still think that he was murdered instead of committed suicide. And this is after Bongino came out and said, nope, I've seen the videos. Only 33% of Republicans think he committed suicide. And then this one, do you believe the FBI and the DOJ are telling the truth that Epstein didn't keep a client list? Only 21% say yes. That's crazy. 56% say no. Only 27% of Republicans say yes. Republicans are not buying the party line coming out of the Trump White House. They're not. And again, I think his numbers will probably recover, but that doesn't mean America's going to.
So let me ask you this before we move on from talking about this topic. The only person who's sitting in jail right now is Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. I forget even the numbers that Pam Bondi threw out. Thousands of children, over 1,000 children involved, terabytes of data. You mean to tell me out of the terabytes of data, the thousands of children involved, the only person who's sitting, there's a dead man, okay, at least that's what we believe, that Epstein's dead somewhere in hell, if he is dead, and you've got this 60-year-old woman who's just sitting in jail as a pimp. So you've got thousands of children and terabytes of data, and there's only one person in jail. This has got to be the craziest, most well-planned plot of criminal activity that I've ever seen in my life. It's mind-blowing to me that nobody's asking that question.
The optics of this are so horrible in so many different ways. If you just think about it for 3 minutes, you'll come up with another one. Like, imagine how this signals to the good people still in the government that we're praying for a better administration to come in and clean things up. There's a huge signal that it's not happening now. Then here's another one. Like, okay, well, it's been implied that he was an asset of some intel agency. Well, let's just say he was an asset of our intel agency. Let's just spitball. Does that mean the CIA is literally trying to look out for our national interests by trafficking young women into sex slavery? Is that what's happening? Yep. And is that in the best interest of our country and its national defense? Or let's just say it was an ally doing it. Okay. Well, is that the kind of people that we support? Is that adequate? Like, is this the kind of moral authority that we're going to have on the world stage? It's absolutely brutal. And so I look at her, listen, she's going to get out. She's not going to say anything. Nothing's been done. These videos haven't been watched by anybody, John. None of these victims have been interviewed by anybody. There certainly aren't, interview forums that were taken by federal authorities as they interviewed these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like they went to the island. They didn't go to the island or anything. They didn't put anything into evidence. Just, it never happened. So it's just disgusting. We all know what this is. It's probably just that, yes, blackmailing these people or preventing the matrix to continue is more important than accountability.
And you know what? If they don't want to ruin people's lives, as Bill O'Reilly and Donald Trump suggested, or I should say O'Reilly suggested, Donald Trump said, give us a list of who was on the island. Because we know if you were on the island, you were probably up to no good. If you were on his plane from New York to Florida, I mean, I can't imagine anything crazy happening there, although I don't know. If you were in his house in New Mexico, it's a different story. Tell us who was there. I don't care who he went out to lunch with. I don't care who he, went to go visit at a gala. All right. I don't care about any of that stuff. Just tell us who was on the island with him. That's all.
This is the crazy thing about this case is that over and over again, just this case specifically, all law enforcement logic just implodes.
Yes.
Okay, you have a list of names. Did you investigate them? Because that's how you find out who's innocent and who's not. Okay, that's the easy way to do it. You interview people, you ask them, you go back and interview somebody else based on what that person said. You make a plea deal with somebody. None of this was done, period, whatsoever, as far as I can tell. It just wasn't. And so we all know what's happening here. It's just, they won't do it. The system will not investigate itself.
I'll give you an easy. Who was it? Prince Andrew, Duke of York, who was accused of being on the island. Okay, so we got eyewitness testimony from a girl who was with him. We've got testimony from people who are there. This is an easy target. And now all of a sudden that thing is just blown under the carpet. Nothing like came of it, even though you have people who allege that they were with him. You've got pictures of him on the thing with Epstein himself. Like that's so troubling to me. If none of this stuff came out, like I said, I think it's a lot easier for people to believe that there's no Epstein files. But we literally saw evidence with our own two lying eyes, and we're being told, no, that's not true. Now, I was always told, Mark, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. I'm believing half of what I saw in just that one case alone.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And literally everywhere on Twitter, you see these bots pop up where they're just like on purpose ignoring the logic. Somebody came up, like I'm seeing things like, well, first off, I'm seeing the Ben Shapiro line that nobody cares about this. Well, it's like nobody cared about this as an issue because they thought there was going to be accountability. The reason people are freaking out right now is because there's not. So that's a problem. And then everybody's saying like things just like all of these non-arguments, like, oh, well, it happened so long ago. Oh, okay. There's never any cold case investigations in America ever. That never happens. It's just unbelievable. And so the lack of logic, the nothing to see here, move on. We'll give you whatever gaslighting BS possible in order to try and distract you to something else. It's playing out everywhere. It's playing out with a lot of MAGA influencers. It's playing out in the White House and the kind of stuff they're saying. It's playing out all over the socials. And these are the kind of things on top of the fact that it's been accused that Ghislaine Maxwell was a moderator of the second biggest political subreddit, that her father has ties to Intel, like that's on top of all of that. And so I think until it's proven otherwise, personally, I'm going to assume that what we have is a disgusting operation that we're either condoning or part of. And a government that does that needs to, quite frankly, in Minecraft, like something has to, like it's just a mess. Like what are voters? What's their recourse? What's their First Amendment redress of grievances for these things?
Which is why I think people like Tucker Carlson. You speaking of the bots. I mean, look what they're doing to Tucker on Twitter. Tucker's this. He's anti-Semitic. He's anti-this. He's anti-that. And it's like, no, he's not. He's just saying the things that people are thinking. I mean, it's crazy to see like what they're trying to do to Tucker now. I'm under the impression, and this is not from any sort of intel or anything like that, that Tucker may be making a really good case to run for president in 2028. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think he's probably making the case. I don't think he's out here causing all this uproar, and I don't even think it's uproar. It's exposing a lot of people who need to be exposed for no reason because he's getting no political gain out of it. He's probably losing money from doing it. So it brings you to the question of like what I had said before. We're not anti-MAGA because X, Y, and Z. Tucker's not doing this to make money or to do whatever. He's losing money. And you know what, Mark? You're losing followers on Twitter and you're losing a base. I see people on Twitter going, what's wrong with Mark Mitchell? He's unhinged. I don't think you're unhinged the slightest. You and I speak almost every day, sometimes hours a day on the phone. I don't think you're the slightest bit unhinged. I think you're just tired of the bullshit.
I'm just trying to give people data and logic, and that is allergic to some people. And that's really interesting to see what would happen with Tucker. I've heard that from another person or two. What I've heard is that he's phenomenally independently wealthy.
Oh, yes.
And that he's not wealthy because of these ties to whatever. It's because he's got a family that comes from a background and he's been very successful. And so he's got nothing to gain here. Like, literally nothing to gain. And what's wild is that when he puts this agenda together, if he runs, it's going to look a lot like MAGA, except for some very salient differences, a very short list of salient differences. And that difference is we should be able to ask questions about what goes on behind the scenes, about these people's interests, and why the will of the voter is not being reflected. Because that question right now, again, Trump came out and tried to brute force public opinion here. He said nobody cares about Epstein. Look at the polling I just said.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Tucker, you're right. He's worth a lot of money. I mean, aside from working at Fox, where he was probably making $15 to $20 million a year, he's the heir to the Swanson frozen dinner. So he's got it's a massive. I think they put his net worth somewhere in like the half $500 million range. So I mean, this is all speculation, but I guess you can probably do the numbers and look at the valuations of the company. But he doesn't need the money. He's got all the fame. I mean, the guy gets how many downloads on Twitter alone, just on his content, millions of views on downloads. So like I said before, we're not doing this because we're anti-MAGA. We're doing this because we want what we voted for. We want what we voted for, and that was transparency. That was no more lies. That was no more secrets. We wanted everything to be put out in the public domain, which is what blows my mind is I would think Trump would want this. With everything they put this man through. I had a woman on the show yesterday. Her name is Susan Crabtree, writer for Real Clear Politics, and she just did a terrific piece calling out the FBI, Secret Service rather, a year after Butler, Mark, that some of these people who were involved in the case are still employed. Some of them were promoted. Sean Curran, who's now the head of Secret Service, was the one who approved the plan in Butler that same day that Donald Trump was shot. And it just blows my mind to think that if I was almost assassinated, I wouldn't want any one of those people near me, let alone a guy who approved the plan that almost got me killed.
If the JFK files are so important that America needs to see them all, then surely the investigation into an attempted and near assassination of a sitting president in a presidential cycle is worth knowing who's working on it, how many people are working on it, what money has been spent, and give us a little bit of information, a little bit of public releasable information about the progress that you're making. Because this one looks like it's going right down the black hole with every other thing, like the Vegas shooting and all of these things where the manifestos get buried. It's the same model over and over again. Government does whatever the hell it wants, and nobody watches the Watchmen.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
We're now getting an investigation, which we should have gotten long before now. Kash Patel has launched a grand criminal conspiracy investigation into the weaponization of government. This is going back all the way to 2016 with Barack Obama, John Brennan, James Clapper, Comey, and other high-level Obama era operatives named in this investigation, which shows a coordinated criminal conspiracy to target political enemies, shield Democrat allies, and manipulate multiple presidential elections, 2016 to 2024. We should have gotten this a lot sooner. Do you think this is just another smoke and mirrors type situation? I don't ever see a day, as much as I would like to see it, of Clapper going to jail, of Comey going to jail, of Brennan going to jail. You saw what they did to James Comey when they brought him in for questioning. They put him in the back of a nice Escalade. They made sure his head didn't hit. Yeah. I mean, it was just a show.
I know. And I've heard from agents too, oh, I didn't like working under him and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't think I've heard from multiple people that this is not going to result in indictments. And yet I do think that there's value in having these investigations. Absolutely do. But that would imply that the point of these investigations is to get information public. And let's also acknowledge that we've just announced an investigation. So there's precedent to come out and say, hey, we could investigate Epstein now because the Americans care about it. So that would be my call. Like, we should probably correct and still do that. I think that this will be beneficial and positive, but let's also focus on the other aspects of election integrity here. Like, where's that election integrity task force? What are they doing? Because that's the problem here, is that the FBI helped essentially manipulate the outcome of an election, but a lot of other people ostensibly did as well in a distributed massive manner across the United States, which should probably be the biggest RICO case. And I guess it's not going to. I don't know.
Yeah, how do we get out of this situation is what I want to know. I mean, is it too late to save the bacon for 2026? Because what happens, Mark, in 2026, if the Republicans loses, Donald Trump will be impeached probably 3, maybe 4 times, and they do it just for fun. Right? They know that there's no merit to it. They know that he did nothing wrong, but they're just going to do it for fun, and that's going to burn up, more time and more time and more time. Now, it may fuel the base for 2028 again, but I think by then people are just going to be worn out because of more baseless investigations that go absolutely nowhere.
Here's the problem. The National Democratic Party stands for nothing, or they stand for things that are horribly anti-voter. But the problem is that in 26, what's going to happen is the Democrats somehow are going to get a ton of money like they always do. It'll probably still come from Act Blue at this point, right? And then what they're going to see is advertising run about, look at this 50-year-old female former fighter pilot who talks like a moderate, and she's in your district, and she's running it as a Democrat. And that person is going to look awfully appealing compared to a Republican that they were convinced to trust and that let them down. And so where we're at right now is a generic ballot, Dem +2, and that's because what happens when you get a Republican in, the Democrats are going to win in the off cycle. So that's what's expected. And so if the generic ballot's Democrats leading, it looks like a foregone conclusion that the House is going to go, plus probably a decent number of Senate seats that might give them the Senate majority. And if not, maybe they'll just steal the Senate majority, right? And so for that to be prevented, Donald Trump needs to act fast to rapidly deliver on all his promises and get to somewhere where he's in the mid to high 50s or something, and drag the Republicans up, or the Republicans need to get it together and finally stand for something, start passing one-page bills that are popular. They could be putting a one-page bill through a week, get rid of the Senate filibuster rule, get them on. That's how you win 26. Let's have E-Verify next week. Let's have paper ballots the week after. Let's get these laws through. We've got another 100 executive orders that haven't been codified or whatever. We could do one a week, right? That would be a lot of news because the Democrats would be freaking out about it. So they need something right now to flip the game board. And right now it looks like there's no plan to do that.
Yeah, you're big on the E-Verify. I'm not entirely sold on it just because I think it's so manipulable and there's so many vulnerabilities to it. I think they need something a lot stronger than E-Verify. But
it's cheap. It exists. We could do it today, and it would piss people off, and powerful people off. So there's a reason to at least do it. But yeah, you need multi-strategy approach to get rid of these people. How about taxing remittances more than 1%?
How about holding the business owners who hire illegals accountable? Criminal.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, John, we can't do that.
Well, no. My former boss was the only person in history, Mark, Congressman Michael Grimm. The only person in the history of New York, maybe in the country, to ever be held responsible for hiring an off-the-books worker. He went to jail for 8 months. He owed $90,000 in back taxes with penalties and interest. It came out to $500,000 a year. He was still paying off his student loans for law school. He's a former distinguished Marine. This is a former distinguished special agent in the FBI, bringing down massive Wall Street operations, boiler room operations. And Markey was held accountable because they were told, Loretta Lynch was told, if she got Michael Grimm, she would become the next Attorney General of the United States. Lo and behold, she became the next. So it's just, horse and pony trading. But why don't we start holding them all to the same standard? I said to him, Mike, I'm fine with you going to jail, just as long as everybody else is held to the same standard as you. And he goes, you know what? You're absolutely right. But it's the two-tiered justice. What was the number? 94%, Mark? Believe 94%. That politicians should be held to the same standard, but it's not. It's rules for thee and not me, and it's wherever they work. It's like a puzzle. If the piece fits, we'll make it work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Definitely no long-term strategy here. This is literally, let's get through the day. And when I see an opportunity, I'm going to take something that's good for me, and I'm not going to care or think about the moral implications of screwing over the person whose blood, sweat, and tears went to fund that. That's the current government. Here's the thing, though. We've talked about this. We're in the fourth turning, John. We're in the fourth turning. And society wants order like Sauron wanted the ring. Like, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, they every fiber of society's being craves new institutions. And every one of these things that happen, they were very let down because, in my opinion, this was a very viable path that they had for redress. And it would appear at this point that that is off the table. And so that will have ramifications, even if it doesn't destroy Donald Trump's approval rating.
Yeah, something's got to give here. Congressman James Comer, who I look up to, I regard him as a really good American, is one of the few people I actually feel bad for in D.C. I think he really wants to do a good job. I think he's done a terrific job in what he's been given, and it's not much. He's on to his latest investigation, and as we find out, it's the auto pen scandal, which I'm not confident. Now, I'm confident Comer will do a terrific job in investigating it, but I'm not confident that Pam Bondi will heed whatever he hands her. This was Comer last night on Fox News.
I think it would be a hard pitch in front of a court of law to try to defend what Joe Biden just admitted to the New York Times, that he didn't know exactly who all was getting pardons or not. He didn't know who was being pardoned with the use of his auto pen. And that's the whole basis of this investigation. This is just the pardons. What about the executive orders? I mean, there was no process that we have found thus far, and we've brought in 4 people thus far in our interviews and depositions, no defined process by which Joe Biden was the one saying, yes, use this auto pen to sign my name on this pardon or this executive order. I mean, Sean, we're just talking about signing your name, one signature. So it doesn't even take into account whether or not he was mentally able to understand what he was even signing. So this is bad, and I think this puts all of those pardons in peril from the Biden administration.
So that's good to hear, right? Yeah. And you got to meet Comer. I spoke with Comer for an hour, and I've known Comer for some years now. We got to meet in person finally, and I've always held him in a high regard. And I think he gets a bad rep for some of his other counterparts in D.C. Who don't do a good job, who are just paper senders and paper pushers. Comer actually wants results, but he can only do the investigation. He can only present the evidence. And at the end of the day, it's up to Pam Bondi or whoever the Justice Department is to take up those criminal investigations and make some referrals. So I think Comer will get to the bottom of this. But at the end of the day, will Pam Bondi do her job and issue a criminal referral for Joe Biden coming out and saying he didn't approve each and every pardon because his staffers said they thought it was business as usual to just go ahead and do whatever the hell they wanted to do? Well, I didn't know that was the case. I'd be out there selling pardons, Mark. $500,000 you get your pardon if I'm a staffer. I mean, what the heck is going on?
I mean, if you just read the story about who some of these staffers are, like all the stuff coming out of the Kamala Harris vice presidency, where she had 86% churn rate with her staff, and there was all this backstabbing and whinging. These people are basically like, they hire them off Reddit. You know what I mean? They're like, 25-year-old non-player characters who are little ideologues and are doing things for their own reasons. And yeah, you gave them like supreme power over the law. And what's going to happen? And you know what the sad thing about Comer is too? It's like, you're right. He's going to put all of this into it. It's going to go to her. It's going to be a one-person decision. It's probably going to be made for political expediency. But here's the thing, John. If he's doing a real investigation, he's putting his life at risk right now. There's a real chance that he's pursuing, like, literally a former president and powerful people in his administration that has ties to the deep state. Like, he's putting himself in real danger for America, for voters. And he's probably going to get sold down the river by his own people, I guess. That's what it looks like.
And you know what he told you and I sitting right there? You heard it with your ears from his mouth, that his family does get threats. And you don't hear him coming out complaining about it, which is what I think it tells you what kind of person he is and what he cares about. His wife, he's got a teenage son who's going to be going to college, him, and death threats and this and that for
they don't get massive Secret Service coverage.
He gets none. He gets none. If he wants security, I think it's up to him or his campaign to cover it. I don't think they provide it because it's only for the top echelons in the Senate, top echelons in the House. Yet this is the man exposing all the corruptions. And you know what? Like I said, you don't hear him complaining about it because he doesn't care. And if he was scared, if he was intimidated, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. That's why I believe Comer's a good man. I think he gets a bad rap, and I think he's a patriot for the work he's doing. The scary thing is if the Republicans do lose the House, the wet rat who sits to the right of him, Jamie Raskins, as Comer likes to call him, is going to take the reins of that oversight committee, and the fun will begin for the Democrats, and they're going to have a grand old time with referrals and indictments, or recommending indictments and interviews, and harassing the heck out of people.
A couple impeachments probably too. Probably have some impeachments. Yeah, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, and this is what we have to look forward to. This is what we have to look forward to. And these people can't, I'm going to say it nicely, can't get their heads out of the grounds. It's like they're shoved in a rabbit hole and they can't get them out. And they're showing us their rear ends because they don't care. So why are we supposed to care? Why are people donating massive amounts of records amount of money to John Thune in the Senate? Why are they donating massive amounts of money to the NRSC, the NRCC? These are two corrupt organizations. It's money in, money out, money flowing. And I tell people all the time, Mark, go to opensecrets.org. Go look at who they're paying. Go look at who they're giving their money to. Don't take my word for it. Go look where these people are getting money from. Go look at who their advisors are. Go look at who their political consultants are. And it's just a big circular operation of money laundering, I think is what it comes down to. And people keep giving money. I wouldn't give a political donation to anybody, Mark, if my life depended on it.
I never have, to be honest with you. Never donated to a single campaign or anything. I prefer to give my money to the church, the ones that aren't corrupted. It's getting harder and harder to find where to put money to have impact. But I'll tell you what.
I know where you go to church. Don't make me post the picture.
No. That's not me. Definitely not. But let me ask you this question, though. If you are going to, in my opinion, the place that dollars need to go is reforming the Republican Party. If you were going to tell somebody, if they wanted to know, where can I donate a single dollar to reform the Republican Party, what would you even tell them?
Not the NRCC, not the NRSC. I would say give it directly to Trump. I mean, that's the what I've always.
Is Trump reforming the Republican Party?
Don't ask me that.
Yes, he's not. He's not. I can tell you. I'm not a DC insider, but I have eyes, and I have talked to people, and I know what's happening here.
You got a triple-digit IQ, which helps you a little bit.
Yeah, I can fog a mirror. So here's directionally the kind of story I hear. Okay, we have the precinct strategy. That's great. That'll take 30 years.
Yeah,
but it's great. Okay, by the time it's full of MAGA people, there will be a different MAGA. We have Michael Whatley at the head of the RNC now. I go, fine, that's great. It's been there a little over a year. I don't know if he's fired or changed. I don't know, right? But what I hear is that a MAGA candidate will run. The establishment will say, no bueno, you can't run. People are afraid of MAGA. We need to run a moderate. You'll never win. And by the way, we control the purse strings. The MAGA candidate will, against all odds, still run, be forced to take Republican consulting gigs. And then their own canvassers will canvass for the opposition in the primary. Then they'll lose. The squishy moderate will run, underperform Trump. and then lose to the Democrat. And then the very next cycle, the same establishment people who are like picked by Kevin McCarthy and, convinced Devin Nunes to let him have a run and blah, blah, blah. They'll just run the same loser again. And, oh, by the way, the NRCC will tell MAGA donors not to donate to the MAGA candidate. And then the MAGA candidate will tell me, I can't even get to Trump. I would win if I could just get an endorsement because Trump only wants to endorse winners. And the White House is entirely sealed off. These are the kind of things I'm hearing. And so in that environment with the NRSC, the NRCC still running everything, it's not reformed. It has not been reformed.
So who do you think can reform the Republican Party if you had to pick one person?
Somebody with very deep pockets that understands complex organizations and how to fix it with a structural solution. That's what the Democrats have. They have structural ways to enforce ideological conformity in their party. Imagine if that force was used for good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I got to show the audience something here real quick. Mark had mentioned church. We're going to show you where Mark attends church on the weekends. It's the United Methodist Church in Morristown, New Jersey, with the coexist sign out front and the lead with love. Mark, is that true?
I was born and raised a Methodist, but I'm part of an organization that saw this coming and left the Methodist Church. But organized religion is just on the list of people for the fourth turning that have to get their crap together and fix it. And that particular organization's been overrun.
Never did I think I'd see the day, Mark, going past it. I walked past this church in Morristown, New Jersey over the weekend. Never did I think I would see a church with gay flags on the front of it, with transgender flags, if you can see right there on the right-hand side, on the front of a church. To me, it's absolutely abhorrent that this is what we've come to.
They probably do the drag story hours too.
It's so sick. I mean, this is the churches now that we've got to shield our kids from. Never did you think that's a story for a different day. We could probably spend hours on talking about. I was born, raised Catholic. I don't even know the Catholic Church anymore. The way it's gone, so demonic. Before we wrap up, I want to get your take on. We found out today that Adam Schiff is currently under investigation for committing mortgage fraud. So he has a little condo out in California where he says he lives, but then he went to go get a mortgage, which he refinanced, I think 4 or 5 times over the course of 4 or 5 years, which in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2013, he remortgaged his house, which I've never heard of that before. I mean, kind of a little sketchy in my opinion.
Origination fees are like, woof.
Right. So he's the senator from California now, of course, but claims this Maryland house is his main residence because you get a little bit of a sweeter mortgage. Is it crazy to see, Mark, that all the stuff that they've accused Donald Trump of doing, Letitia James has done, Tom Tillis has done, Adam Schiff has done? Are these people this stupid?
No, they're not stupid. They're smart, and they've not been held accountable at all. And until the Federal Bureau of No Investigations actually decides to do its job, I'm going to assume that every single one of them, I'm going to assume that when you get elected to Congress, you get a little welcome packet that's like how it works here. And that this is Appendix 2B about what you do if you want to, they all complain about how they're not paid enough. And so they figure out other ways. Life will find a way. They get multiple streams of income. Their wife gets a do-nothing job. They get a couple of stock tips and, cut with nods and winks and a little, of course, everybody gets away with this. Why would they not do it? It's just part of what they deserve for being our betters.
I think you and I should look at running for Congress. I think we'd have a hell of a time. We get offices that connect next door, and we could just raise a crap ton of hell.
I would get murdered. They would not. I'd get the George Santos treatment. I'd be like,
oh God, don't be that hard on yourself.
No, man, I'd be like walking around with a body cam everywhere.
Oh my goodness!
Every meeting with cameras all over my office.
You're too much of a family man. Mark spends a lot of time with his kids. He's a good dad. He's probably heading off after this to go take the kids to the beach or rowing or something like that.
That's the plan.
So there you go. Mark, what's your new streaming schedule for the people that want to tune in to Rasmussen Reports?
We are doing Tuesday and Thursdays. Every time I talk to you, it's different. Tuesday and Thursdays at 9 o'clock, but we're putting out more single videos over the week. I just put a scorcher out on the Epstein stuff. If you want to see the crosstabs, you should go check it out.
There you go, folks. And Mark's now on audio podcast. We've got Mark. That's not the right.
That's like nice.
Now about
great.
Rasmussen reports. We have most of our audience that tunes in on audio. You guys can join Mark for all his episodes on iHeart, Spotify, Podbean, Apple, wherever you guys get your podcasts, wherever you get this podcast. You can now catch Mark there. Mark, you get the last word here. The floor is yours. What are you selling?
Listen, I don't know where this is going, but I definitely know that America is really mad at this right now. And so if you're one of these people that is confused by what you see around you, look for lack of logic and questionable, posts, because I think there's a lot of them out there. We deserve to be able to ask questions about everything, especially this. And so again, the voters deserve better than trust me, bro, and you should demand it.
And I can attest, Mark is not unhinged. Tucker Carlson's not unhinged. Any of these people who just want the truth are not unhinged. I am not unhinged. I'm not suicidal. None of us are suicidal. Just want what we were promised. That's all. We were promised a Rolls Royce, and you gave me a 2009 Hyundai Elantra.
No. This is like a 1972 Schwinn with a bent wheel. That's what we got.
You're aging yourself there. Mark Mitchell, you guys can catch him. As I said, Rasmussen Reports, audio, video, wherever you guys get it, at Honest Pollster on Twitter. Mark, as always, a delight and a pleasure talking with you.
Great to be here, John. Thanks.
Thanks to Mark Mitchell, folks, and thank you all for being with us today here on The Great America Show. As I mentioned, you can catch Mark and all his episodes. If you don't want to tune in on video, you don't have the time, you can catch him on audio, iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you guys get your podcasts. Just type in Rasmussen Reports, Reality Check, and you can get him there. We recommend it to you highly. Mark's one of our favorite guests here. And you can now catch him every day. Be sure to sign up and subscribe. It's free. Who doesn't love free? I know I do, and I know you guys do, which is why we don't charge you $1 for the show, because we think it all should be free. Folks, we'll see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Tomorrow, we've got a very special guest, another one of our favorites, the great Roger Stone, back from Tampa, where he just spoke at the Turning Point USA conference. We're going to get a reaction from him on everything that's going on. And is he optimistic? Is he pessimistic on where we go from here? That's tomorrow right here on The Great America Show, folks. We'll meet you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a wonderful night, everybody. And thanks for spending part of your Tuesday night with us here.